Okay, remember that they are changing my voice. So I believe we're on part 5 here. When a person or a group tries to use money to pretend that they are above Christ, they become a female dog or a pack of female dogs. My freedom of religion in a secular state is infinitely more important than the complexes of heterophobes, rich oppressors, and racial supremacists combined. Also keep in mind that also goes for God's theocracy. Of the countless people who have been rightfully convicted of rape in America, they all had complexes to some degree. Would the elite argue that people should have catered to them if they were rich? One of the problems in America is the fact that people do not feel enough righteous indignation when it comes to psychopaths and brats. It is a profound injustice in itself when people are acting like bitches while people are massacred and raped all over the world. Let's go ahead and do another 5 or 6 of these here. Other people follow the tree of knowledge and it has failed them miserably. Look at their pathetic decisions these days. The process of people getting together without me leading them is just a nicely dressed satanic clown show at best. And we have seen variations of this time and time again. When is it enough? When one thinks that they are smart for delaying the end for a childish Western occult ritual, like we see here, they've only proven that they are useless fools that have clearly lost. Okay, so they should have done the right thing instead of bringing about the end in the first place. And when we see that they're delaying it and trying to torture me and sexually harass me, we see that they're just complete idiots. They've lost. We see that it's clear. That's what that saying's getting at here. Other people trying to cover up that I'm the top martial artist ever possible, okay, are more pathetic than a little girl trying to cover up that the strongest man that ever lived is naturally stronger than she is. Some argue that Lucifer, who in the Bible and the king of Assyria or otherwise, right, who's obviously in Satan's spirit, who is Satan, is what he is not, which is the protagonist of the story. When they do this, they argue that child rape, homosexuality, cannibalism, theft, and sadism, among other things, are what they are not, which is good. Now, obviously, I'm saying that when they do that, they're wrong and they're evil. I don't want the semantics to kind of fool you there. I don't do wordplay stuff. I don't speak in code. Many rich racist gays, especially Europeans and Americans, think that persecuting me miraculously helps them when it has truly finished off their souls and their offspring's souls. It's also truly finished off the world. They are stupid, they lack discipline, and are led astray by their own great folly. Many weirdos can train themselves to be a fixating weirdo who breeds fixating weirdos. They merely invent things. Needless to say, this is missing the point of life. When people try to put themselves as equal or above the top martial arts ever possible, one way or another they get humiliated and disgraced. Ask these jealous, pitiful losers what 189 million means to them. To me, it means the number of how many pitiful rebels who led pathetic lives died and went to hell in the last 1,000 days. On the issue of racism, even though I'm obviously mostly black in terms of gene expression, in terms of thinking, the vast majority of people who suffer in the world are more like the white, Jewish, and LGBT elite, right? They're Sedians. They have a certain kind of selfish way about them. They're in cults, etc. They're the types of people who would accept the New World Order in cults. Therefore, they're more like the governing class than they are like me. And so for them to kind of try to zoom in on people who seem more like me, to try to make them suffer, is like a desperate, pitiful bitch move. I'm sure we can all agree. And what justification do they use? They use the justification that God is massacring people like them and causing them to suffer. Therefore, they've attached me to God, and they've admitted by their actions that God causes them more harm than they cause to the children of God. So therefore, I'm winning. I have won. There's no way for them to win. I'm the one who's godlike. They're merely satanic worms. Open and shut. And so in the last two statements, you have an example of the double-edged sword of God, where it hurts me a little bit to say those things. They're true. The truth hurts. The way, the truth, and the life. And it also refines somebody. As I said those statements, people are likely to want to team up against me more, what have you. But it's because they're in the spirit of the world. And if they don't separate themselves from that spirit and come into God's spirit, that their souls will be screened out and marshaled to hell by God Almighty. Obviously, we see in this video that the elite are jealous. The people that follow them are jealous. They're unprepared for life. Freemasons don't know what they're doing. The military doesn't know what they're doing. The state doesn't know what they're doing. They've resorted to kind of interruptions and changing my voice. It's open and shut. I win.